The year was 2157. Humans had moved beyond Earth and built homes on 12 new planets. These colonies were humanity's pride. Each world buzzed with life and hope for the future. Dr. Alan Wright sat in his lab on New Eden, the 11th human colony. His eyes were fixed on the screen in front of him. For weeks, strange signals had been coming from deep space. No one knew what they meant. "Anything new today?" asked his assistant, Ellie. Alan shook his head. "Same pattern. It's not random noise. Someone or something is sending these." He tapped a few keys, and the signal pattern showed on the larger wall screen. It pulsed with an odd rhythm that didn't match any known human transmission. "I'm sending this to Earth again. They need to take it seriously," Alan said. 3 days later, Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Earth Space Force vessel Vigilant. Her orders were clear: investigate the source of the signals Dr. Wright had found. "Status report," she called to her crew. "All systems normal, Captain," replied Officer Ben Garcia. "We'll reach the edge of our territory in 6 hours." Lisa nodded. "Keep all sensors at maximum range. I want to know what's out there before they see us." The Vigilant moved silently through space, joined by 2 other ships. One carried scientists, the other carried diplomats. Humanity hoped for peaceful first contact with another intelligent species. They waited at the edge of human space for 2 days. Nothing happened. Then, on the 3rd day, the sensors lit up. "Captain, multiple objects dropping out of faster-than-light travel," shouted Ben. His voice shook. Lisa rushed to his station. "How many?" 23. "No, 37. They keep coming." The ships that appeared were massive. Each one dwarfed the largest human vessels. Their dark hulls seemed to swallow the starlight around them. "Open communications on all frequencies," Lisa ordered. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the Earth Space Force vessel Vigilant. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact." No response came. Lisa tried again. "Unknown vessels, please respond. We represent humanity and wish to open peaceful dialogue." Still nothing. "They're scanning us," said Communications Officer Judy Wells. "They must hear us." Lisa felt cold sweat on her neck. Something was wrong. The alien ships moved with purpose, spreading out to surround the human vessels. "Defensive positions," she ordered. "Shields up, but weapons on standby only. We don't want to appear hostile." The diplomatic ship moved forward, broadcasting messages of peace in every format scientists could imagine. Mathematical sequences, simple images, basic language patterns, anything that might bridge the gap between different minds. The lead alien ship suddenly lit up with energy readings. "Captain, there." Ben's warning was cut short. A beam of intense light shot from the alien vessel. It sliced through the diplomatic ship like it was paper. The ship exploded, leaving nothing but floating debris and the bodies of 64 humans. "Battle stations," Lisa shouted as shock gave way to action. "Get us out of here." Before the human ships could react, more beams lanced out. The science vessel was hit next, breaking apart under the assault. The Vigilant turned to run, its engine straining as Lisa ordered maximum speed. "We need to warn Earth," she said, her voice steady despite the horror she felt. "Send everything we've recorded. Now." As the Vigilant fled, a message finally came from the alien ships. It was in perfect English, cold and clear. "Your expansion ends. Surrender your colonies." Lisa gripped her command chair. "Send the warning to all colonies. Priority 1. The Vigilant barely escaped, limping back toward New Eden with massive damage. Of the 3 ships sent to make first contact, only one returned. On New Eden, Dr. Alan Wright received the transmission from the Vigilant. His face went pale as he watched the footage. Humanity had found alien life, but not the kind they hoped for. The Vorax had arrived, and they had come to kill. The warning reached New Eden 3 hours before the Vorax ships arrived. Colony Governor Kate Summers called an emergency meeting with her staff. "We need to evacuate as many people as possible," she said, her voice firm despite her fear. "Major Price, what defenses do we have?" Major John Price stood by the window, watching as people rushed through the streets below. "Not enough. 6 orbital defense platforms and 3 small warships. Nothing that can stop what's coming." "How many can we evacuate in time?" Kate asked. "Maybe 30% of our population, if we use every ship we have," replied Sam Cortez, the colony's chief engineer. His hands trembled slightly as he looked at the datapad. Kate took a deep breath. "Then that's what we do. Start with children and medical personnel. Major Price, your soldiers will go last." Price nodded. He understood. Soldiers stayed to fight, to buy time. "I might have something that could help," said Olivia Martinez, the lead scientist at New Eden's Research Center. The vigilance scans showed a pattern in the alien ship's energy signatures. If we modify our orbital platforms, we might be able to disrupt their weapons. "Do it," ordered Kate. "You have 3 hours." As Olivia rushed to the research center with Sam, evacuation sirens blared across the colony. Parents grabbed children and ran to the spaceports. Hospital staff moved patients onto transport ships. Fear filled the air, thick and heavy. Major Price organized his soldiers at key defensive positions. "Hold as long as you can," he told them. "Every minute means more lives saved." On the orbital platforms, engineers worked frantically to implement Olivia's modifications. Sam moved between the platforms, checking each one personally. 2 hours passed. The first wave of evacuation ships launched, filled beyond capacity with frightened colonists. "Alien ships entering the system," announced the colony's defense center. 30 minutes until they reach orbit. In her lab, Olivia made a discovery. The Vorax ships had a weak spot, a specific frequency that disrupted their shield systems. But as she prepared to send this information to the defense center, the first Vorax attack hit the colony's communication array. All off-world communications went dead. The battle for New Eden began. From space, the Vorax ships fired energy beams that cut through the colony's shields like they weren't there. 2 of the orbital platforms exploded immediately. A third managed to fire back, its weapons modified according to Olivia's initial design. The beam struck a Vorax ship and caused visible damage. For a moment, hope flared among the defenders. Then 5 more Vorax ships moved into position and obliterated the remaining platforms. On the ground, Major Price watched the skies turn red with fire. "Hold the line," he shouted to his troops as smaller Vorax ships descended toward the colony. Sam Cortez helped load the last civilians onto evacuation ships. "Where's Olivia?" he asked a lab technician who rushed past. "Still in the lab. Says she won't leave until she completes her work." Sam ran toward the research center as the first Vorax ground troops appeared in the colony. They were tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. Each carried weapons that fired pulses of deadly energy. Major Price's soldiers fought bravely, but they were outmatched. For every Vorax they killed, 3 more took its place. At the spaceport, Kate Summers supervised the final evacuation ships. 2 more minutes, she called out as families rushed aboard. Across the colony, Sam reached the research center. Parts of the building were already on fire. "Olivia," he called out. He found her downloading data to a small drive. "I've got it," she said. "The frequency, it can hurt them, but we can't transmit it off-world." "We'll take it," Sam said, grabbing her arm. "There's a ship waiting." As they ran from the building, a Vorax energy beam hit the research center. The explosion threw them to the ground. Sam pulled Olivia up, and they kept running. At the spaceport, the last ships prepared to launch. Major Price's voice came over the radio. "We can't hold them any longer. Go now." Kate gave the order to launch. As her ship rose into the sky, she saw New Eden burning below. Tears filled her eyes. Only 7 ships escaped from New Eden. On board were just over 20,000 people, barely 10% of the colony's population. As the ships jumped away into faster-than-light travel, Major Price sent his final message. Remember us. Make them pay. Then New Eden fell silent. News of New Eden's fall spread quickly. Horror and grief swept through the remaining 11 human colonies, but there was little time to mourn. The Vorax continued their advance. Their next target was Harmony, the 9th human colony. "We need to combine our forces," said Admiral Peter Franklin during an emergency meeting with leaders from all colonies. His weathered face showed the strain of sleepless nights. "Divided, we will fall one by one." Earth's government agreed. Ships from every colony gathered near Neptune, forming the largest human fleet ever assembled. Over 300 vessels prepared to make a stand. Meanwhile, refugees from New Eden reached the safety of other colonies. Among them were Sam Cortez and Olivia Martinez, carrying crucial information about the Vorax. "Their ships have a weakness," Olivia explained to a room full of scientists and military officers on Earth. "A specific energy frequency disrupts their shields. We just didn't have enough firepower to exploit it." Dr. Diane Collins, Earth's leading physicist, studied Olivia's data. "This could work," she said, "but we need more information about their technology." As scientists worked, the Vorax attacked Harmony. Despite brave resistance, the colony fell in just 3 days. The few survivors brought more pieces of the puzzle. "They're not just conquering," said Colonel Frank Patterson, studying reports from both fallen colonies. "They're exterminating. No prisoners, no mercy." The pattern continued. Liberty fell next, then New Hope. Each time, a handful of ships escaped with refugees and information. Each time, the Vorax grew stronger as they took human technology and resources. On Earth, Dr. Collins worked day and night with other scientists, including Olivia. They analyzed every scrap of data from the fallen colonies. "There's something else," Olivia said one night, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "It's not just their shields. Their biology is different. The Vorax can't tolerate certain radiation types that don't harm humans." This discovery sparked hope. Perhaps humanity could develop weapons that specifically targeted Vorax biology. But time was running out. 6 colonies had now fallen. The unified human fleet waited anxiously near Neptune. "They're coming," Admiral Franklin told his captains. "Today we make our stand." The Vorax fleet appeared, larger than ever before. Over 500 ships against humanity's 300. The battle began. Human ships fired everything they had, using the frequency Olivia had discovered. Some Vorax ships exploded under the assault. For a moment, it seemed like humanity might win. Then the Vorax changed tactics. Their ships spread out, making it harder to concentrate fire on any single target. They launched smaller vessels that darted between the human ships, causing chaos. "Hold formation," Admiral Franklin ordered, but it was too late. The human fleet broke apart under the attack. Ship after ship exploded as Vorax beams cut through their hulls. "Retreat," Franklin finally ordered. "Fall back to Earth." Only 120 human ships escaped the battle. Neptune's orbit, Earth's last defensive line, had fallen. As the defeated fleet limped back to Earth, more terrible news arrived. New Paris, Frontier, Eden Prime, and Atlas had all fallen while the battle raged. Only Vega Prime and Earth itself remained. Billions of refugees crowded Earth's cities and orbital stations. Food was scarce. Fear was everywhere. In her laboratory, Dr. Collins continued her work. "The radiation weapon is our only hope now," she told Colonel Patterson. "We need more time." Patterson nodded grimly. "We'll buy you what time we can. But we've lost 11 colonies in 6 months. Earth is next, and we all know it." In orbit around Earth, Admiral Franklin assessed what remained of humanity's fleet. "Refit every ship with Dr. Collins' radiation emitters," he ordered. "If we're going down, we'll take as many of them with us as we can." News arrived that Vega Prime was under attack. Now only Earth remained free. Humanity prepared for its final stand. They had nowhere left to run. Earth's cities buzzed with fear and determination. Sirens tested daily. People built shelters. Soldiers trained nonstop. Everyone knew the Vorax were coming. President Laura Bennett addressed the world from her underground command center. "Today we face the greatest threat in human history," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We have lost 12 colonies. We have lost friends and family. But we have not lost hope." She declared martial law. All factories now made weapons and ships. All research focused on fighting the Vorax. Dr. Diane Collins worked with her team in a secure lab beneath the Rocky Mountains. The radiation discovery from Olivia Martinez gave them a starting point. "Look at these cells," Collins told her team, pointing to a screen showing Vorax tissue samples recovered from battlefield debris. "They break down when exposed to this specific radiation frequency. It doesn't harm human tissue at all." "Can we make weapons from this?" asked her assistant. "Not just weapons," Collins replied. "A whole defense system." Across the globe, cities moved underground. People packed into subway tunnels, mine shafts, and newly built bunkers. Food was rationed. Water was precious. But spirits remained high. "We won't go quietly," became the common greeting between strangers. In orbit, Captain Ryan Howard led a small team on fast, maneuverable ships. Their job was to watch for Vorax scouts and gather intelligence. "Movement at the edge of the system," reported his sensor officer during a routine patrol. Howard studied the readings. "Single ship, small class. Let's take a closer look." His ship, the Swift, moved silently toward the intruder. 2 other human vessels followed close behind. "They don't see us," Howard whispered, though the Vorax couldn't possibly hear him. Ready weapons. The 3 human ships surrounded the Vorax scout. It was looking at Jupiter, not watching its back. "Fire," Howard ordered. All 3 ships fired at once. The Vorax ship spun, damaged but not destroyed. It tried to escape, but Howard's team had cut off all retreat paths. "Board it," Howard ordered. "We need that ship intact." 20 soldiers in spacesuits jumped from Howard's ship to the wounded Vorax vessel. Gunfire echoed through the hull as they fought their way inside. 10 minutes later, a soldier's voice came through the radio. "Ship secured, Captain. 6 Vorax dead. No survivors. But the ship is mostly intact." Howard couldn't believe their luck. "Tow it back to Earth, carefully." Scientists swarmed over the captured Vorax ship. They studied its engines, weapons, and communications. Every piece of technology revealed new secrets. Sam Cortez led the engineering team. "Their ships talk to each other constantly," he explained to Admiral Franklin. "It's like they need constant direction from their leaders." This discovery gave humanity its first real advantage. If they could disrupt Vorax communications, they might have a chance. Meanwhile, Colonel Patterson trained special forces to fight Vorax ground troops. "They're stronger than us," he told his soldiers. "But they're slow. Use your speed. Hit and run." Underground cities filled with civilians prepared for the worst. People learned to use weapons, treat wounds, and survive with little food or water. Then the message came. Vorax ships, hundreds of them, had entered the solar system. Their path was clear. They were heading for Earth. President Bennett called her War Council. "What are our chances?" she asked bluntly. Admiral Franklin looked at Dr. Collins, then back at the president. "Honesty, we're outgunned, but we have advantages they don't expect." "The radiation weapons?" asked Bennett. Collins nodded, ready to deploy. "But we'll only get one chance." "And the captured ship?" Bennett turned to Captain Howard. "We've learned a lot. Their fleet uses centralized command. Take out their leaders, and the rest might fall apart." President Bennett stood and walked to the window overlooking the underground city where millions of people waited for news. "Send this message to the Vorax," she said finally. "Earth demands your unconditional surrender." Everyone stared at her in shock. Bennett smiled grimly. "Let them think we're crazy or desperate. Meanwhile, prepare Operation Vengeance. We attack first. The Vorax responded to Earth's demand for surrender with a simple message: prepare for extinction. In her command center, President Bennett addressed the United Forces of Earth. Screens showed faces of commanders from around the world. Operation Vengeance begins now, she said. May God help us all. Sam Cortez finalized the radiation emitters with Dr. Collins. These devices were small enough to carry but powerful enough to disable Vorax ships and soldiers. Will they work? Sam asked, looking at the small metal cylinders. They'll work, Collins said, though doubt flashed in her eyes. But we need to get them on board their ships. Marine Commander Sofia Garcia trained her special forces day and night for this mission. Her soldiers practiced in a mock-up of Vorax ship corridors built from information gathered from the captured scout vessel. Move faster, she shouted as her teams ran the drill again. You have 30 seconds to place the emitter and get out before it activates. Captain Howard's intelligence team monitored the approaching Vorax fleet. They're moving slowly, he reported, almost cautiously. They think we're beaten already, Admiral Franklin said. They're not expecting a fight. The plan was desperate but simple. Allow the main Vorax fleet near Earth, then launch everything in a coordinated counterattack. Small teams would infiltrate key Vorax ships to plant radiation emitters. The night before the battle, President Bennett gave her famous speech. Her words reached every shelter, every ship, every soldier. Humanity will not go quietly, she said, her voice strong and clear. We have lost much, but we fight not just for ourselves. We fight for those who died on our colonies. We fight for the future of our species. Tomorrow, we show the Vorax that humanity's spirit cannot be broken. Dawn came. The Vorax fleet entered Earth's orbit, nearly 1,000 ships blocking out the stars. All ships launch, Admiral Franklin ordered. Earth's remaining fleet rose to meet the enemy. 300 ships against 1,000. The odds were terrible. The space around Earth exploded with energy beams and missiles. Human ships darted between the larger Vorax vessels, looking for openings. Commander Garcia's teams launched in small, fast shuttles. Their mission: board the enemy ships and plant the radiation emitters. The battle was chaotic. Human ships fell one after another. But they fought with desperate courage, clearing paths for Garcia's infiltration teams. Team Alpha has planted emitters on 2 ships, came the report. Team Bravo is approaching the 3rd target. On Earth's surface, defense cannons fired continuously. Vorax landing ships burned in the atmosphere, but many got through. Fighting broke out in cities around the world. In the command center, President Bennett watched with grim determination. How many emitters are placed? She asked. 7, replied Colonel Patterson. We need at least 15 to create the chain reaction. The battle was going badly. Earth's defenses were falling faster than expected. We need more time. Dr. Collins shouted, working frantically to adjust the remaining emitters. Just then, Lieutenant William Davis, a young officer on Garcia's Alpha team, made a discovery that changed everything. While planting an emitter on a Vorax ship, Davis noticed something strange. The ship's command center is receiving constant signals from one specific vessel, he reported back. He sent images showing a massive ship at the center of the Vorax fleet. It was twice the size of the others, with distinctive markings. That's it, Admiral Franklin realized. Their command ship. They're controlling the entire fleet from there. A new plan formed quickly. Lieutenant Davis volunteered to lead a small team directly to the command ship. It's suicide, Garcia warned. Maybe, Davis replied. But if we can plant emitters on that ship, we might disable their entire fleet at once. As Earth's defenses crumbled, Davis and 6 soldiers boarded a captured Vorax shuttle. They painted it with Vorax markings and loaded it with every remaining radiation emitter. Good hunting, President Bennett told them before they launched. Davis looked at his team. For Earth. For the colonies. Their shuttle disappeared into the chaos of battle, heading straight for the heart of the Vorax fleet. Lieutenant Davis and his team flew their stolen shuttle toward the massive Vorax command ship. Around them, the battle for Earth raged. Human ships exploded. Vorax vessels pressed forward. The sky was full of fire and death. "Stay calm," Davis told his team. "Act like we belong here." Their shuttle's communication system played captured Vorax signals, making it seem like they were following orders. So far, no enemy ships had challenged them. On Earth, Admiral Franklin watched their progress on radar. "Davis is getting close," he said to President Bennett. "But our fleet is down to 60% strength." "Hold on as long as you can," Bennett replied. She turned to Dr. Collins. "Are you sure these emitters will work together?" Collins nodded. "If they plant enough in the right places, the radiation will spread through the entire command ship. It should disable or kill any Vorax on board." Meanwhile, Davis's shuttle approached the command ship's docking bay. It was enormous, larger than any human spaceport. "They're hailing us," said Private Joe Miller, who operated the communication system. Davis took a deep breath. They had practiced this moment. Miller played a pre-recorded Vorax response, copied from the captured scout ship. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the docking bay doors opened. "We're in," Davis whispered. The shuttle landed among dozens of Vorax vessels. The team waited, hearts pounding, as Vorax soldiers moved around outside. "Remember the plan," Davis said. "Teams of 2. Plant emitters at these key points." He showed a map of the ship on his datapad. "Meet back here in 20 minutes." They slipped out of the shuttle wearing stolen Vorax armor over their spacesuits. The armor didn't fit well, but it might fool the Vorax from a distance. Davis and Miller headed for the ship's power core. 2 other teams went toward the bridge and communication center. The corridors were tall and wide, built for the larger Vorax. Strange lights pulsed along the walls. The air smelled like metal and something alien, sharp and unpleasant. Davis and Miller reached the power core without being spotted. It was a massive chamber with energy flowing between tall pillars. Planted there, Davis pointed to a control panel. Miller attached the emitter and set the timer for 30 minutes. Done. Meanwhile, the team heading for the bridge ran into trouble. A group of Vorax soldiers spotted them. Gunfire erupted in the corridor. "Team 2 is compromised," came a whispered voice over the radio. "We've been spotted." Davis and Miller headed toward them to help. They rounded a corner and saw 3 humans pinned down by Vorax fire. "Cover me," Davis said. He pulled out a grenade and rolled it toward the Vorax. The explosion sent them scattering. "Plant your emitter and fall back to the shuttle," Davis ordered Team 2. On Earth, the battle was going badly. Vorax ground troops had landed in major cities. Human soldiers fought street by street, buying time for civilians to reach underground shelters. Dr. Collins watched the countdown clock. Just 25 more minutes until the emitters activated. In the command ship, Davis and Miller reached the communication center. It was filled with Vorax officers around a central holographic display of the battle. There, Miller pointed to a machine pulsing with energy. That must control their fleet communications. They waited for the Vorax to look away. Then Davis sprinted forward and planted an emitter directly on the machine. He set it for 20 minutes. An alarm sounded. The Vorax had discovered the humans. "All teams, fall back to the shuttle," Davis ordered over the radio. "We have 15 minutes to get clear." Team 3 reported their emitter was placed near the bridge. Team 2 was pinned down, but had managed to plant theirs as well. Davis and Miller ran through the corridors, Vorax soldiers in pursuit. Energy beams hit the walls around them. They reached the docking bay to find their shuttle surrounded by Vorax troops. "We need another way out," Miller said, breathing hard. Davis looked around and spotted a smaller Vorax ship. "There, we can fly that." They fought their way to the ship, 2 more team members joining them. The other 3 were missing, presumably captured or killed. As they started the ship's engines, the first radiation emitter activated early, triggered by Vorax attempts to disarm it. A wave of invisible energy spread through the command ship. Vorax soldiers dropped to the floor, writhing in pain. Their gray skin turned purple as the radiation affected their biology. Davis's team launched their stolen ship just as the other emitters began to activate. Behind them, the massive command ship went dark. 6 months passed after the Battle of Earth. Humanity had won that day. But the war was far from over. When the radiation emitters activated on the Vorax command ship, something unexpected happened. The entire Vorax fleet fell into chaos. Ships stopped firing. Some crashed into each other. Others simply drifted in space. Admiral Franklin had seized the moment. "All ships, attack now," he ordered. Earth's remaining fleet tore through the confused Vorax ships. For the first time since the war began, humans destroyed more enemy vessels than they lost. Lieutenant Davis and his surviving team members made it back to Earth as heroes. The information they gathered from the command ship proved invaluable. Their entire society is built on strict hierarchy, Dr. Collins explained during a war council meeting. The leaders we killed were not just commanders, but their ruling class. Without them, their fleet couldn't function. President Bennett leaned forward. "Can we use this against their homeworld?" "We can," replied Sam Cortez. During the past 6 months, he had led a team reverse engineering Vorax technology. "We've adapted their own ships for human pilots. We've built more radiation weapons. We're ready to take the fight to them." And so, Operation Retribution began. A new fleet, built with Vorax technology, set course for Vorax territory. Admiral Franklin commanded the flagship, with Captain Morgan as his second. Their mission: find and destroy the Vorax homeworld. The journey took 3 weeks. They passed the ruins of human colonies, now abandoned after the Vorax slaughter. At each one, the fleet paused to remember the dead. When they reached Vorax space, they found something surprising. The aliens had colonies too, dozens of worlds connected by travel routes, and many of these worlds showed signs of battle damage. "They've been fighting among themselves," Captain Morgan observed. "Their leadership caste is gone, and they're struggling for power." This made humanity's task easier. The fleet attacked one Vorax world after another. The radiation weapons proved devastating. Vorax soldiers died by the thousands, unable to resist the specific radiation that attacked their biology. On one world, Captain Howard led a team that discovered something horrifying. Camps filled with prisoners from various alien species. Some had been there for decades. "We're not the first they've attacked," Howard reported. "They've been conquering and enslaving others for centuries." The liberated prisoners told stories of Vorax cruelty. Many joined the human fleet, eager for revenge against their former captors. As humanity pushed deeper into enemy territory, the death toll rose. Millions of Vorax died as radiation weapons were deployed on their worlds. Cities fell. Ships burned. An entire empire began to collapse. In her command center on Earth, President Bennett received regular updates. The reports of victory brought joy, but also concern. "We've killed 4 million Vorax so far," Colonel Patterson told her. "Is this justice or genocide?" Bennett had no easy answer. "They showed us no mercy. They slaughtered millions of our people across 12 colonies. But at some point, this has to end." She ordered Admiral Franklin to offer surrender terms to any Vorax world that would lay down weapons. Few accepted. The Vorax fought to the last soldier on most worlds. On the 15th Vorax colony they attacked, Captain Morgan found something interesting: historical records. "They attacked us because of a prophecy," she told Admiral Franklin. "Their religious texts said a species matching our description would one day destroy their civilization. So they attacked first," Franklin said, "made the prophecy come true themselves." The human fleet continued its advance. World after world fell. Resistance grew weaker as news of human victories spread through Vorax space. Finally, 6 months after leaving Earth, Admiral Franklin's fleet reached their target, the Vorax homeworld. It was a large planet with 3 moons, beautiful from orbit. Franklin looked at the planet on his view screen. 12 human colonies had been destroyed, millions of people killed. Now humanity had the power to do the same to the Vorax. Send them a message, he ordered. Surrender or face extinction. The choice that had never been given to humanity was now offered to the Vorax. The Vorax homeworld hung in space, blue and green like Earth, but with strange purple clouds swirling in its atmosphere. Admiral Franklin's fleet surrounded the planet. 1,000 human ships against the last defense of the Vorax civilization. For 3 days, there was no answer to Franklin's demand for surrender. Then a signal came. "They want to talk," Captain Morgan reported. "They're requesting a meeting." Franklin nodded. "Set it up, but keep weapons ready." The meeting took place on a neutral ship between the planet and the human fleet. Franklin went with Captain Morgan, Dr. Collins, and several armed guards. The Vorax sent 3 representatives, older aliens with faded gray skin and ornate clothing. "You have destroyed much of our empire," the lead Vorax said. Its voice translator made the words sound flat and cold. "You seek revenge for your colonies. We seek justice," Franklin replied. "You attacked us without warning. You destroyed 12 human worlds and killed millions of innocent people." The Vorax made a strange gesture with its 4 arms. "We acted as our prophecies demanded. Our sacred texts said humans would bring our destruction. We tried to prevent it. And instead you caused it," Dr. Collins said. "Your preemptive attack turned us into the enemy you feared." Negotiations continued for hours. The Vorax finally agreed to unconditional surrender. Their remaining forces would disarm. Their technology would be shared with humanity and other species they had conquered. "What will happen to our people?" the Vorax leader asked. "You will live," Franklin said, "but your empire is over." As the human fleet entered orbit around the Vorax homeworld, something unexpected happened. Ships appeared at the edge of the system, vessels of designs no human had seen before. "We're being hailed," Morgan said. "It's not Vorax." A new face appeared on the communication screen, a being with blue skin and large eyes. "We are the Keldari," it said. "We have watched your conflict with the Vorax. We too were once their victims." More alien ships arrived, 5 different species that had all suffered under Vorax rule. They came not for revenge, but to ensure peace. Together with these new allies, humanity established a coalition. The Vorax were stripped of their warships, but allowed to keep their homeworld and 3 colony planets. 1 year after the war ended, humans began rebuilding their lost colonies. The first to be resettled was New Eden. Dr. Collins and Commander Garcia attended the memorial ceremony there. 12 million humans died in the war, Collins said, looking at the stone monument listing the names of the dead. "And we killed over 7 million Vorax. Do you regret it?" Garcia asked. Collins didn't answer right away. She watched as new colonists planted trees and built homes. Children played in fields where battles had once raged. "I regret that it was necessary," she said finally, "but I don't regret defending humanity." As they walked back to the colony center, a transport ship landed nearby. It carried a group of Vorax scientists and diplomats, the first allowed to visit a human world since the war. Among them was an older Vorax who approached Collins. "You are the one who created the radiation weapons," it said. Collins tensed. "I am. I wish to show you something." The Vorax handed her a data tablet. On it was the full text of their prophecy, finally translated accurately. Collins read it and looked up in surprise. "This doesn't say humans would destroy your civilization. It says a species that travels between stars would help you evolve beyond your rigid hierarchy." The Vorax made a gesture that might have been sadness. Our leaders misinterpreted. They saw change as destruction. They feared losing power. "So all of this, all the death and destruction, was for nothing?" Collins asked. "Not for nothing," the Vorax replied. "Look around you. Human, Vorax, Keldari and others now worked together. Perhaps this was the evolution our prophecy meant. As the sun set on New Eden, ships from a dozen different species flew overhead. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had suffered, survived, and now looked to the stars not with fear but with hope. The 12 lost colonies would never be forgotten. Neither would the lesson they taught. Fear of the future can create the very enemies you dread.